This is unheard of. How did Carlos King manage to attract cast members and or talent of the show where one person, only one person, appears to be emotionally healthy? Melody, you barely made it out by the hair of your chin. Melody should be thanking God, and I'm sure she is. Melody is hated by each of them because she represents, by leaving the group, walking away from Martell, she severed their emotional attachment to her. So the resentment that we're witnessing in real time every Saturday, every week on the show is what we call transference. I'm using it in a psychological manner. Transference is the redirection of feelings, desires, especially those retained from childhood. You take those feelings from childhood, those emotions, that trauma, and you reapply it to a new source. Melody is the source. She always have been. Even when it appeared to be a friendship, even when it appeared to be a marriage, it never was. Because like leeches, they were literally sucking the life out of her. All of them. She was like a charger, a power source that they could plug into to fill the voids that their moms, their mothers couldn't fill. And when Melody left, it appeared to them, or it appeared to us, or whoever, as if when she left, they turned on her. When the fact of the matter is, they were never for her in the first place. Are y'all following? Because I don't want to lose you. I told you it was going to be deep. So let's get into the ranking order. Tiffany is ranked last because Tiffany is not an imminent threat at this time. I base this ranking order off of who could go up against Melody one-on-one, toe-to-toe, outside of attacking her in a group format. So when it comes to Tiffany, although we've seen her passively aggressively when not around Melody, kind of straddle the fence. But when it comes to her going toe-to-toe with Melody, Tiffany is not an imminent threat at this time. Destiny is number 5. I know you may be shocked. I get it. No. Destiny has run her mouth. Yes, she's done all of that. But she's not as powerful or threatening as she appears to be. As a matter of fact, let's keep it real. I think the reason, in my opinion, that Destiny's been having these emotional outcries, breakdowns, is because she's realized that she is a source, something to be used. Oh, yes, baby girl. You underestimated the Scots, and they embarrassed you, which is why you're now on social media saying, I'm protecting people that don't give a damn about me. You really are. But because when it comes to the hierarchy, you're at the bottom of the food chain, and they'll feed off of you before they go to the bottom. Okay, it's chestnut checkers. So Destiny is not an imminent threat. Now, I'm not releasing her from the responsibility and accountability of her being an asshole to Melody, but she's not an imminent threat at this time. Letitia. Oh, yeah. Number 4. She is a threat. She's a threat. And not only that, we've seen her be a threat. We've seen her show up to physically position herself to fight Melody. Very, very confident. Have you seen, let me point out something. Have you noticed that when it comes time to be violent, ignorant, ghetto, she has a lot of confidence. But when it comes time to be sophisticated in business, in relationships, she lacks confidence and demonstrates low self-esteem. Baby, don't play with me about what I'm talking about. She's very confident in fighting, okay? She's very confident in tearing down other women. I'll get to that in a minute. Maurice is ranked 3rd, and the only reason why I had to really assess this correctly, he's ranked, I almost put him 4th. 4th. I almost put him 4th. But the reason I had to bring him to the forefront is because he has a spiritual covering for him from Kimmy. God has blessed him with Kimmy as a protection from his childhood traumas and the toxicity that he has been, the toxicity that he's grown up with, okay? Kimmy is his spiritual covering. However, when his brother Marcel gains influence over him, he can be equally as dangerous and threatening. Maurice is more of a head game player. He plays with your mental. We've seen him do it with Kimmy. We've seen him do it with Martel. The way they keep Kimmy disarmed spiritually is by forcing her to embrace Tisha. And when Kimmy complies and goes along and comes back to say, I really didn't mean it, I want to be your friend, she's being dominated. Her energy is being dominated, making it easy for them to manipulate Maurice, manipulate her against their game, against Melody and Martel. Coming in a very strong second. You're going to be real shocked at this. But who do you think it is? Drop it in the comments real quick. I'll wait like 2 seconds. Who do you think it is? All right. Drum roll, please. It is Marcel. Oh, yeah, I know y'all are probably going to give me hell because on the outside looking in, you're thinking, no, he should have been number one. He's an orchestrator of destruction. He's chaos. He's all that. Yes, he is. But so is Carlos. And Carlos and Marcel need an entourage to be impactful and or effective. So that's why he was ranked number 2 as opposed to number 1. Because there's a more deadly demonic spirit in play by the name of Martel Holt. He doesn't need anyone to show his ass. And he's the number 1 threat in all of this. He's the first demon to put Melody in harm's way. He introduced her to the Legion. He introduced her to these people. He asked her to take them in financially. He convinced her to let them come in and eat in their home. He had her feeling like they were family. You know? Like they were friends, confidants. Like we finally found a married couple that we jive with. And then boom, baby. All of these abandoned, traumatized, hurt, unhealed children housed in adult bodies turned on her. And she never saw it coming. So Melody will eventually have to make a choice. She has to. For we war against not flesh and blood, but against principalities. It's the principle of it. And every time Melody engages with these people, be it directly or indirectly, she's coming from behind a veil of protection that God has given her. So eventually, Melody, you're going to have to make a choice. Either they go or you go. By choosing to stay directly or indirectly, we're talking about a spiritual realm. We're not talking about a worldly thing, making money. This is my show. We're not talking about that. We're talking about spiritual principles, the word. If she chooses to stay directly and or behind the scenes, she's playing a very dangerous game. And if she prolongs her association with them, they will wear her out, which is why you hear her say, and they have worn her out. That's why she has physiological symptoms of dealing with these people. And you hear her say, I have to go into a covering. I have to disconnect. And it takes me 2 to 3 weeks just to get that demon scent off of me. But she doesn't escape the impact of that. Sometimes it's headaches, she said, migraines, energy filling off, all of that crazy stuff. You cannot wrestle with demons. And Melody is up against a legion of demons. And yes, you heard me say it. I said legion. And if we look at it from a spiritual perspective, legion was used to refer to the group of demons, to a group of demons. Let's get into it. Come on. Are y'all following me in the comments? Let me pause because I want this to be a very engaging conversation and very interactive. I'll wait. Let's take a look at this verse that talks about a legion of demons in Mark 8. And I'm not trying to get all holified and spiritual. I just want to build a foundation to let you know I'm just not coming out of thin air. So in Mark 8:28, it says, when he arrived at the other side in the region of Gadarenes, 2 demon-possessed men coming from the tombs met him. I'm going to stop there before I go on. I want you to pay attention to something. They came to him. He wasn't looking for them, nor did he send for them. They showed themselves. They approached him. That's a very bold move. But not only that, they came from the tomb. Come on, y'all. Are y'all tuned in or what? What's a tomb? Think about it. I told y'all we were going deep on this. A tomb is where you place the dead. They came from the tomb. Somebody resurrected these folks from the dead. Okay? And when I'm talking about dead, I'm not talking about physically. I'm saying these folks are dead emotionally, spiritually, and mentally, which is why you see the toxic and the cruel, hateful behavior being played out on television. So when it comes to Melody's life, how did she even meet the dead? Oh, let's get into it, honey. How did Melody even come by this path that she would even encounter these kind of people? I'll tell you how. The first demon brought them to her. Martell brought them to her. And if you know enough about demonic spirits, they need a body to house themselves in. He found Melody, and he housed himself within her, and he hid himself within her love, her divinity, her purity, her innocence, her education. You got to think about when this man met this woman. She wasn't all that she bloomed to be. She was almost like a virgin, and I'm not talking about intimacy. She hadn't even grown, and she still hasn't grown into everything that she's called to be. So Martell latched on to her divinity, her pureness, okay? Her naivety, her kindness. Can we go just a little bit deeper? I just want to make sure y'all are good. Let me switch lanes for a second. Have you heard Letitia say over and over, and she's been very vocal about it? She said, I am not naive. Listen, believe her. You better believe her. She's right. She is not naive. Naivety calls for a level of purity, a level of pureness, a level of innocence, a level of kindness, a level of devotion. And she's none of those. And if there was a time that she was, it's long gone. Kiki tried to tell us. Kiki tried to hip y'all to game. She says Tisha has been a hellhound since a teenager. Tisha has been physically, violently aggressive. And I'm going to get into demons and how aggressive they can be in a minute. Tisha keeps telling us, but we refuse to believe her. And we somehow have made it up in our minds that Marceau is controlling her. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. Let's go on. Then it goes on to say, they were so violent that no one could pass that way. Demonic spirits are violent spirits. They are very assertive. They're very intrusive, abrasive. They take you off guard. They're very domineering. That's what I mean by violent. And we see that coming up on Saturday's episode. But we weren't looking at this thing right, y'all. We were wrong. We were looking at this in a worldly fashion where it looks like Martel is fighting to protect her. He's fighting to save his queen. He's fighting for the honor of his family. No, ma'am. I'm sorry. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. That is not the case. Those demonic spirits were fighting over territory. Legions have territories. Do your research, because I can only give you so much in a certain amount of time. So then it says, what do you want with us, Son of God? They shouted. Have you come here to torture us before the appointed time? First off, he never said anything to them. They approached him. They addressed him. They continued to address him. For a while, he didn't say anything. Demonic spirits are extremely persistent. Have you ever heard Melody's frustration when she shared, they keep coming at me, they keep coming at me at social media. I'm human too. I don't talk about them. I don't think about them, but yet they keep my name in their mouth. They keep this lady's name in their mouth. They talk about a child. They talk about a marriage. They talk about a child custody case. They talk about her mama. Demonic spirits. They're very persistent. And let me tell you why they're fighting. It says, have you come to torture us before the appointed time? Melody left too soon. Melody left before the appointed time. She was supposed to be a come up. They were going to use her until they drove her into a mental health crisis. Challenge me on it. But I'm going to pause because remember, we're talking through this together. I want you to talk back. I want you to challenge me, agree to disagree, whatever. Am I wrong? All of them were in on it. And that's why the Scots helped Martel cheat with Arion. That's why Martel aligned himself with them. That's why Marceau stepped in financially when Martel couldn't steal money under Melody's nose to keep Arion complacent and happy. The Scots were supposed to rise off of Melody's back, and Martel was going to ride off into the sunset with coleslaw. Oh, yeah, baby. We're talking deep psychological, spiritual assessment. They were going to push her out of the business or buy her out. And they even tried pushing her off the show. And that's where you see the weaker demons, demonic spirits coming in. That's where you see the Tiffanys and the Destinys being recruited as cast members on the show. The fighting is because Mel left before the appointed time. Go back and watch the scene in Vegas where Martel screams, "You planned our divorce." He was so out of control that he had to be physically restrained. But what he meant is, how dare you leave before the appointed time? I haven't had enough time to use you. We were still getting our come up together. I was still plotting with Marceau and Maurice and Arion and whoever else. Don't you know what this has done to me? How am I going to clean this up financially? How am I going to be able to pay folks I owe? How am I going to be able to pay the Scots back? I was hoping to come up off of you. We were all hoping to come up off of you. How am I going to take care of this new baby? How am I going to buy these acres with the Scots? Like we've been planning to do behind your back. Oh, baby, I told y'all I was not playing with y'all today. This is deep. Melody has been very open about her life. So has her mother. And so has Carlos. And he's given her this fictitious Best Reality Star award because she's been so open. Basically what he's saying is, baby, you gave me a buffet to eat off of, to attack you in so many ways. But we'll come back to that, okay? Earlier in Mel's life, both Melody, I think it was Miss Van that shared. Miss Van actually tried to run interference from a spiritual perspective to stop Melody. She tried to run interference from a spiritual perspective. Y'all need to take this in. Woo! And tried to stop Melody from marrying Martel. But Martel's charming ways won over Melody in a very short amount of time. I think it's 9 months. And Melody made her own decision, or what she thought was a good decision, to proceed with him and trust that how he was showing up was true. Demons are extremely charming, Melody. And Melody Holt, I am a huge fan of yours, girl. You are the reason I started this show, this channel, this YouTube. I came out of my covering. I've never done this before, but I came to be a voice for you, honey. Don't know you, never met you, but I stepped out of my comfort zone But let me tell you this, Melody. If you choose to stay on this show, listen to me very closely. You cannot go up against these folks directly or indirectly alone. You're going to need a trusted advisor because you made a wrong choice 2 times in a row. You trusted Martel over your mother's advice, and you trusted Martel by inviting the Scotts in. You trusted Carlos to protect you. So all I'm saying, Melody, I know you're smart. I know you're strong. But this time you're going to need a check and balance system. You're going to need somebody outside of you that's not so up close in front to this to help you. Because you cannot see behind your own back when you are surrounded by a legion. You're going to need someone, Melody, to have your back, honey. You can only cover 180 degrees, but you're formulated in a 360 degree circumference. So you're going to need somebody to have your back. Someone who's not afraid to challenge you about the folks that you may choose to trust. Melody, Carlos is extremely charming, publicly charming. He lays it on thick. He charmed his way into Candy's life, Candy Burris. He charmed his way into her life by way of work, establishing a working relationship, so much so that she entrusted him to her work project to produce it. Remember what I said. For we war not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. So Melody, if you're listening, if you're weighing this thing out, don't look at Carlos. Think about the principalities of it all, the symbolicness, the symbolism of it all. He stabbed that girl in her back, so you've got to be very careful. You are not exempt. You need someone who isn't attached to all of this, someone who can speak to your spirit because they are deeply embedded in spiritual foundations. I don't know who that is. And I trust that your relationship with God, when he says go, you'll go. But you cannot be out here by yourself. And I'm not talking about no managers or anybody that's tied to business that will get something from you moving or signing a contract. Carlos King is deceiving, so deceiving that he has Tamar Braxton going to bat for him. And y'all are saying, well, what's wrong with that? We all need somebody on our side. Pay attention. Candy and Tamar are friends. They have a friendship. Did you not see them in Big Brother? They have a friendship. Tamar does not know Carlos. She said it herself in her interview. She said, I just met him. Y'all. So if I just met a man and my friend says that a man stole her show, I'm riding with my friend. That man would have to be so charmed and deceiving to get Tamar on his side. He's so charming. He has this girl going against her friend. And if that is not a demonic, enticing spirit, honey, I don't know what is.